Oh, what up, Mike D checking in here. I came across something that I thought was really, really interesting. We talk about ghostwriting all the time, and we talk about, historically what that looks like in hip hop. And the Brat recently did an interview and she was talking about the song Give It To You and how that came about and the fact that she didn't write that song. Now, I have always held that song extremely high. The remix specifically. It's one of those songs where I feel like the album version is okay. But the remix is extremely elevated. The one that you see a music video for, I think that's one of the most elevated remixes ever. It's up there with the Crossroad remix, with the One More Chance remix, with the Choice Is Yours remix. What's another really elevated remix where it's like you hear the original, you're like, I don't want to hear that one, but that it's right there with that, right? And so she tells a story. Now, let me let her tell it real quick.
Things subliminally without saying them. Like, for example, when Give It To You, the song Give It To You, it came about because I wanted to take my ass out to party. We was at JD's house and I don't know who was going out that night, but I was like, I'm going to the club, nigga. I ain't working. I don't feel like working tonight. We've been working all week. I'm going out. He was like, all right, all right. When I came back, he had Give It To You done.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Called
whoa.
Chris Kelly from Crisscross.
Okay.
And they wrote Give It To You. Word up.
Okay. Oh.
Hey, that's about the only thing I add.
Wow. Okay. So, as story follows, she went to the club, came back. Well, Jermaine also called Chris Kelly. I want to talk about that too. Um, Chris Kelly from Crisscross, that is. She came back and the song was done, and all she added was "Word Up, Hey." Now, I've always, as far as like female MCs, I've always had the Brat extremely high. At least I did in the '90s, right? And even to this day, my three favorite female hip hop songs, rap songs, if you will, are Give It To You by the Brat, the remix, the one that we're talking about here, the one with the video. No Time from Lil Kim and Lost One from Lauryn Hill, L Boogie. And to hear that the Brat didn't write this, I don't know how to really feel about that. Now, what I will say, Chris Kelly needs to get his flowers because let's dissect this, right? What else has Chris Kelly been a part of? What else has Chris Kelly really written? What role does Chris Kelly really play in that whole so deaf universe, if you will, and being a writer and a writer for others? Now, rest in peace to him. He's not here to tell his story. I I've always felt like, in the crisscross pairing and the crisscross duo that he was the rapper and he was the writer and he possibly could have been writing for both of them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he wrote for Bow Wow some too. I don't know. I know that he was always trying to get into always in the business end of things. He was always expanding his art and things that were being done on the background. I remember seeing his name in credits as a producer here and there back in the '90s. And the fact that when the Brat goes to the club, instead of waiting on her to come back to finish the song, Jermaine calls Chris Kelly. I think that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be a situation where it's like, yo, man, we got the hot hand. I'm in a vibe. I need a writer. She's gone, whatever, or he's here to do it. But she said, called him, right? Isn't that what she said? Let me go back. Let me go back.
JD has taught me a lot of things subliminally without saying them. Like, for example, when Give It To You, the song Give It To You, it came about because I wanted to take my ass out to party. We was at JD's house and I don't know who was going out that night, but I was like, I'm going to the club, nigga. I ain't working. I don't feel like working tonight. We've been working all week. I'm going out. He was like, all right, all right. When I came back, he had Give It To You done.
Okay. All right. Yeah, give it to you done. I'm trying to avoid copyright. And so I'm talking over the.
Chris Kelly from Chris.
He called Chris. She said
And
that.
they
Okay. So he called Chris Kelly and they wrote it. So if do you see Puffy saying, you know what, Biggie went to the club tonight. Let me call Mace to write this song. Or you just gonna wait for Biggie to come back, right? It makes me wonder what else did Chris Kelly write? I don't know. I mean, I personally feel like, and I have no evidence of this, I don't know, but I feel like he was probably writing for both uh himself and Chris Smith from Crisscross. I would love to talk to Chris Smith, man. There's so many things about that Crisscross dynamic that we don't know about, we don't hear about, we don't hear from him. We always hear from other people. I would love to talk to Chris Smith because I'm sure he could tell us a lot more about, some of the things that Chris Kelly had going on. Even that mysterious Chris Terry individual that's on Young, Rich, and Dangerous that sounds just like T.I., who was supposed to be a third member of Crisscross. It's a lot of mystery that is around that. And to me, hearing the Brat say that Chris Kelly, who also founded the Brat, honestly, because the story of Brat is Crisscross was on tour. They were in Chicago. She bum rushed the stage, performed, and Chris Kelly called Jermaine and said, yo, you got to sign her. Chris Kelly's always been involved, seems like. And the fact that he's the one that gets the call when it's time to write a hit record, that goes a long way, man. And so I want to know more about Chris Kelly specifically and what his involvement was on many of these things because I think his story is definitely untold. And I don't know how that makes me feel about, the Brat and her legacy, if you will. And I know people could say it's just one song. I don't believe it's just one song. I don't believe that the best song that you make, because to me, Give It To You is her best song. That and Functified. And when your best song came about like this, it makes me kind of question other songs. If we're being real, because we would do the same thing for any other artist, right? If we're being honest about that. And so I don't know how that makes me feel about the Brat's catalog in general or where the Brat's placement is when your best song was not written by you. So let me know what you guys think about in the what you guys think about this in the chat. And do we call this ghostwriting thing down the middle, or are we biased when it's female MCs? Let's just be honest about that, man. Does this not change anything for the Brat, or does this change anything for you as far as like how you feel about the song, the Brat, and her legacy? Let me know in the comments. Hit like and subscribe, man. I'm talking to you guys soon.